Months of 2025 have brought us a very turbulent and changing international political scene. We saw things unimaginable before. The rest of the year is expected to be even more turbulent, or should I say, plain crazy. But one thing is staying constant. That is the state of Russian economy. It is declining with ever increasing speed. And that is for one simple reason. Economy is about policies and actions. Something that is done, not talked about. And it's been in the geopolitics in the last 3 months that's talking too much, but not doing too much. So let's look at what's been done in Russia. Industries, numbers, facts, and figures today. Real life backed by evidence and two very personal stories from me, my life, and my experience. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. As usual, you will not find any lies, BS, or propaganda. Instead, you will find plenty of truth, common sense, and logic. Some emotions too, because I am a human being after all. I was preparing this live stream today, the message, and I realized that I need to make a series of messages about Russian economy instead of just one live stream, because it's too large of a topic. And today I will speak of a situation in certain industries. In 2 days, this coming Thursday, I will continue this topic about Russian economy, and I'll speak more on the budget deficit. Boy, don't even get me started. Russian currency, Russian ruble, its valuing or devaluing its future. I'll speak of printing money and other things economy. So please stay tuned. But today about industries, and I think it's very, very important. They are real life indicators of what is happening in Russian economy. This is March of 2025, and Russian economy is not doing well in general, and I'm putting it very mildly. I have been calling this situation economic collapse, sometimes the economic tsunami, and everyone understands word collapse. And sometimes I'm criticized for choosing this word collapse. And I want to define what I mean by the word collapse. Economic collapse to me is a number of economic conditions. Some conditions are objective, some are subjective. And of course, economists study only objective conditions. But, hey, this is my channel, my live stream, my rules, and I'm going to mix some things subjective, how I feel about the situation when economy is collapsing. Okay, my personal take on that. Collapse to me is when people are concerned about day-to-day survival rather than about enjoying life. When people are scared of tomorrow and are not confident about their future, heck, not confident about tomorrow, the day that awaits them next. When people come to a food store, see high food prices, and they fret, they choose the cheapest food option possible. For example, in Russia, it's buckwheat, sugar, baking powder. When people are afraid to lose their jobs, they know that would not find another job easily, or they would find something that would pay them less. When they work hard, but their current jobs don't pay enough to support their families. When retired folks become so poor because their pensions lose value because of high inflation, they become so poor, they go beg for food on the streets. They ask people to buy them food at the food stores, and they seek expired food that food stores throw into their backyards trash bins. When people cannot afford travel within their city, let alone flying in a plane to a different city within the country. When people cannot afford vacationing at least once a year. Now, that's all subjective criteria, subjective conditions of demise. This is what I personally see as economic demise. I want to make it clear. I also have objective criteria as economist. Economic demise is when the country systematically, year after year, spends more than it earns. When the country's budget is in red. And when it cannot borrow any longer from anywhere, from outside the country, from the international markets, and from the inside the country, because people simply don't trust the government and don't want to buy government's bonds, or simply don't have money. When it cannot borrow anywhere, but keeps on spending more and more and more. When political goals dictate domestic economic policies, and when people are not a concern of politicians. When key interest rate is at 21%, making it nearly impossible for small businesses to exist. When in 3 years the government doubles the money mass by printing 100% more rubles in the economy than it had before. When personal and corporate bankruptcies hit record highs months after months after month. When people flee country by millions searching for better life elsewhere. And demise, when all of the above, what I said, is at the state that doesn't allow the country to function normally any longer. No money to pay federal employees, by the way. They're fired. No jobs are created in the civil economy. The civil economy shrinking and so forth. That is what I call the economic demise. Both objective and subjective criteria. Please let me know in the comments, do you agree with me or not? Perhaps you have your own criteria for economic demise. Let me know. If there are economists out there, professional economists, I would love to hear your opinion. And just, if you're not economist, I would like to hear what you have to say too. Basically, do you agree with me or not? Let me know down below in the comments. To top it off, I'll tell you a personal story, and that's going to be very emotional. This is a very odd story. Well, stories, I don't even know how to call it. Now, I was preparing for this live stream for the good part of today. When I was thinking over, and all of a sudden, my memory, it works selectively. I don't really know how it happens, but it happened today. It sent me a scene that I remember very clearly. I saw the face of economic demise. And I guess that scene affected me a great deal. The year 1991, right after the USSR fell apart. The USSR fell apart, and it brought its economy to demise. I mean, there are two systems. The one economic system, communism, well, socialism, was replaced by communism. I'm sorry, by capitalism, and it was not pretty when the two systems were changing. Okay, factories stopped working. A lot of companies, previously state-owned, stopped working. They couldn't sell their products any longer because all of a sudden there was a free market. They couldn't compete. They didn't know how to sell. They didn't know how to market, and they didn't know what to produce. Anyway, that was a big mess, and a lot of people were suffering, especially older folks. And I was 15 years old at the time. I was still in a high school. I was junior high. Yes, I had 2 more years to go. I was riding in a tram in the winter of 1991, and I remember as clearly as if it happened yesterday. There was a man right next to me, sitting right in front. The tram was the cheapest way of transportation in the city of Rostov-on-Don, where I was growing up. It was, well, the only way cheaper was walking. The tram did cost nearly nothing. And I lived on the outskirts of the city, far away from the center, and I took train all the time. So I was sitting there, and there was a man about age of my father, about 40 years old, give or take. He was poor. He was dressed poorly. He had a fur hat, a cheap kind that had been worn for years and years. Same went for his coat. Um, he was clean, but you could see his clothing was cheap. It was old. It was worn. And he was sitting there, and he was right next to another passenger, fellow passenger, and it was a complete stranger. And the guy was so upset that he was talking to that stranger. I don't even remember was a woman or a man. I just remember someone was sitting right next to him, and he was complaining about his life. And he said, "Look, I try the best I can. I work at this factory, but all of a sudden we don't have work. And the money that we receive, inflation eats up most of it. And all of a sudden, I can't afford anything any longer. And I'm struggling. I don't know what to do." And the person sitting right next to him wasn't listening, okay? But he was still talking, and he was right in front of me. And I remember the tone of his voice. It was sad and apologetic, okay? Almost tragic and apologetic. And what hit me the most was this. He said, "I have a daughter, and she is 7 years old, and, New Year's coming, and she's asking me for a present, a kilo of oranges. Well, how do I explain her that I cannot afford to buy her 1 kilo of oranges? Instead, I go and buy her candy, the cheapest kind, made out of sugar. And this is what I can hardly afford that. How do I explain it to my daughter? I saw a good man in front of me. I saw a hardworking guy. He was not, he could have joined mafia. Mafia was rampant at the time, and he would start making tons of money. He chose not to. He was a good man. He was working hard with his hand, with his, his skilled, probably skilled worker, and he couldn't make it. He wasn't making it. And friends, to me, that is the face of the economic demise. That's every time I say this word, this picture from the tram in 1991 comes up. Wow, as if it happened to me yesterday. I still remember his face. Okay, now I want to tell you about Russia. what is going on in Russian economy and in particular in Russian industries. I want to tell you the story where Russian economy is standing right now, and I want to back it up with data, the facts, figures, and numbers. Because I don't really like when people just say blah 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 and do not back it up with facts, okay? I don't want to do that. Data for January and for February, partially for February, is out there. Russian government still releases economic data monthly, believe it or not. Not all data. The areas that are hit hardest by the crisis are made classified. It's top secret now. They don't want people to know the truth. They know that things are not well. For example, the data of production of gasoline in the country, refining, oil refining into gasoline is forbidden. Still, Russian government still releases some data, although it's cooked and sugar-coated. We'll be taking it. Even cooked, it's pretty darn bad. And we can imagine that in reality it's worse. But let's just play it from the data that they provide. I'll start with a general indicator of economy's health. To me, it's very basic economic actions. And at the foundation is cargo transportation. If economy is well, any economy, not just Russian, more goods are being produced and transported and sold. And if economy is doing bad, less goods are produced, transported, and sold. It's obvious, isn't it? Well, Russia's main method of transportation inside the country is railroad. The data for cargo transportation in January is at 10% decline compared to January 2024. 10%. In February, January to January, okay, January 25 is 10% less than January 24. In February, there was another decline, and this information is also out, compared to February of 2024. According to RBK, and that's a fairly trustworthy economic news agency, although controlled by the state, it's probably, along with Kommersant, the only sources of good information about the economy. So, according to Rosbusiness Consulting, RBK, in February 2025, they were 87 million tons of goods transported by rail. That is, are you ready? The lowest month for cargo transported in the last 10 years. The worst in 10 last years. 10% in January, another 3% in February, and the worst in 10 years, the worst month. And further decline is forecasted from now on, month after month after month. I will make sure, I will keep my eyes open and monitor the situation. Again, to me, it's a backbone of all indicators. Because what is produced needs to be transported, right? And rail is the preferred method of transportation. I think that they will close down, or make this information classified soon, because railroad transportation is controlled by the state. It's owned by the state, all railroads. Just one company, the monopolist called РЖД, Российские железные дороги, Russian Railways. And I think fairly soon they will close this information down as well. What about truck transportation, trucking? It's really difficult to say. I don't have the consolidated data because opposed to railroad transportation, there are many small and medium-sized truck companies that transport cargo, and their reporting is non-existent, so to speak. I cannot give you the number for trucks transportation. From what I hear, they are complaining. The industry, there is an industry leaders in Russia. There is an organization for truckers, and they are complaining. They are having it more and more difficult. This is my understanding, but here I cannot give you facts because I simply don't have them. I think railroad transportation is is pretty darn bad. It kind of shows us that Russian economy is very feverish. Now, what is transported? What is transported less now? Okay. In January and February, another month. Let's talk about that. Let's take a look at the goods because, something is transported, right? And if we know what is transported less, we can kind of it leads us to the industries that are in trouble. Before I tell you that, I would like to thank you. Thank you for watching this right now. Thank you for liking this message. If you haven't liked it yet, please. So now it's a good time to do that. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for praying along with me and for me. Thank you for sending me good messages with encouragements. Thank you for being part of this wonderful community. And thank you for your love. Also, thank you for supporting me by buying me coffees. Much appreciated. Never required, but much, much appreciated. Thank you for PayPal, Patreon. I would like to introduce new kinds of information at Patreon that I'm going to tell you at the end of the live stream. Some kind of extra bonus for you. So, okay, thank you so much. Know that you inspire me when you watch, when you like, when you subscribe, when you comment, when you're part of the community. It shows that a lot of people appreciate what I do, and that's inspiring. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Still demonetized, Google is still not paying me anything, still not making anything from doing this. But you have my word. I will keep on going, no matter what. Now, let's take a closer look. What is transported less nowadays? I mean, we gotta know this, right? Building, construction materials, and products. Minus 22.3% in February compared to February of last year, 2024. Cement, minus 16.9% compared to February 2024. Ferrous metals, minus 13.7% to February 2024. And oil refined products, minus 6.5%. Again, compared to February of last year. Now, construction materials, metals, diesel fuel. Do you smell trouble in Russia's construction industry? Do you understand what it means when they start building all of a sudden, out of the blue, just like that, 20% less of everything? Housing, commercial real estate, and so forth. 20% less almost overnight. How many millions of jobs are cut when that happens? And what about decline in interconnected industries that serve construction industry and depend on the construction industry? Why there is a such decline of new construction? Interesting, right? Well, it comes from real estate industry. And real estate in Russia is in deep, deep trouble. People have stopped buying new apartments and houses. Two main reasons for that. Well, first is obvious high mortgage rate, 21%, the key interest rate. Mortgages start at 29% annuity right now, 29% with perfect score, credit score, 29%. And the second reason is also obvious. People have less money now due to galloping inflation and overall economic decline. New construction sales have stopped. It's both obvious and expected, and I've talked about it so much before. And now it's here. Well, another industry. Now, if you're standing up right now, you'd better sit down because it's kind of shocking what I'm going to tell you. New car sales declined whopping 25% in February compared to February of 2024. 25%, a quarter. This is insane. This is insane. This information comes from flagman of Russian propaganda, RT, Russia Today. And the truth is probably even worse, but even 25% is huge and terrible for the economy. You also understand what a landslide decline in new car sales mean, don't you? Less services required, less taxes paid, fewer insurances sold, fewer jobs in other industry. Car industry is everything, okay? That's what keeps every country moving. Take a quarter out of it overnight and you hit economy real hard. And that's it's a great showcase of what's going on with Russian economy right now, okay? Why is that so? Why Russians all of a sudden stop buying cars? Well, there are three reasons for that. And the first two are obvious. The third one is also obvious. First is no car loans any longer. The only car loans are given, they start at 35% annuity. 35%. Would you buy a car at 25%? Second reason, obviously people drive less and walk more and take buses more because people in general have less money. Russian economy is not well and a lot of people have been affected. How can we tell? Well, because they buy cars less. Car is becoming a luxury, just like in the USSR it was. That's where Russia is heading towards very fast. Now, forget about cars. Let's talk about another very important indicator. What about agricultural machinery sales? That's another important indicator that shows how farmers are doing, how they're feeling, how they are working, because farmers buy combine harvesters and tractors all the time. They replace old ones, they expand, and this is how they're doing. Minus 31.5% in sales of combine harvesters, tractors, and other agricultural machinery in January of 2025, compared to 1 year before. Despite Russian economy not doing well a year ago, back then they still bought almost a third more than they buy now. Do you understand what that means? Don't you? A great deal less farming this year. Why? Because the state of the economy is not allowing. Plain and simple. Farmers are probably the most hardworking people in the world. Okay? They work from morning till night. And they work no days off, no vacations. I know my uncle is a farmer. He's been a farmer all his life, born and raised on the same farm. He works, well, it's his life. He doesn't live life, he lives work, okay? And to him, not to grow potatoes, wheat, sunflower, and other, agricultural products is like he doesn't understand that. How can you not grow things? It's a sun comes up every day, and then you grow things every year. That's pretty much the same. To him, it's equal. And yet now, a third less in sales of agricultural machineries. There's simply not too many combine harvesters and tractors to use for farming. Okay. So why? Because, again, economy is not alone. High key interest rate, farmers cannot borrow any longer. They cannot take bank loan at that interest rate. Again, that probably starts around 29-30%. Most farmers cannot export their products any longer. For example, wheat, sunflower, seeds, oils, and things like that. And there are much, much higher costs of farming because everything that is used in farming is made, well, most of things used in farming is made elsewhere, not in Russia. And obviously, it costs more now because it's imported. Another thing that no one is talking about in agriculture right now in Russia, and it is one of the most important things, not just in the economy, but in life of Russia, because Russian people eat that. Seeds. Again, no one, it's like like this problem doesn't exist. You see, Russia depended on seeds bought in the Netherlands. Well, mostly in the Netherlands. Netherlands is the world's center for producing this advanced seeds that yield lots of harvest, okay? And I don't know if it's genetically engineered or I'm not really a big expert, but from what I know, if you plant a potato that is Russian and a potato that is that comes from Netherlands, that the Dutch one yields you up to 40% more when you harvest. And that's everywhere. And the Dutch do not sell to Russians any longer. Russians are using their own seeds. And not too much harvest, well, less harvest equals fewer machines required to harvest it. I quite frankly don't know what they're going to do this year. Last year was pretty bad. Potatoes, the price is through the roof right now. And the reason, because they use in Russian potatoes for seeds, for seeding. Okay, they just didn't have many potatoes grown last year. This year is going to be worse. Anyway, agriculture is in trouble. And the sales of the machinery show us pretty darn clear. to take a break, an interesting fact for you. Last week, the Federal Minister of Economy, last name is Reshetnikov, had a meeting with Russian senators at the parliament. And it's a big thing because Minister of Economy delivers prognosis, forecasts for the year and so forth. They discuss policies. He suggests policies and so forth. And they discuss. And the key point here is it's televised. It's usually televised. And it's talked about everywhere in the Russian propaganda. Oh, Russian Minister of Economy proposed this, suggested a new law, suggested new policy, new measure. He gave these numbers and so forth. Right now, as if the meeting never took place. They are acting as if this meeting did not take place. I wonder why. There is no answer because this is just ignored, okay? But hey, we all have some brains, right? Perhaps because they talked Turkey at this meeting, perhaps because the Minister of Economy of Russia really told the senators that how things are in Russian economy and what he expects for the end of the year. Perhaps he demanded something from them. We don't know, but that's the fact. Not a word has been said about this meeting. Now, the summary for civil economy. And today, the only civil economy growing, and I'm not talking about military-industrial complex, that's a completely different talk. I'm talking about regular economy, things that people buy. Companies produce products that regular people buy, okay? The only industry that is growing in Russia is chemical industry. And the foundation for that growth is Russian-made fertilizers. They are still in demand all over the world, and they're not sanctioned. Russian companies can sell them, export them freely, and they do that. And the fertilizers are increasing in prices in the world markets. So Russian companies make lots of money. They receive lots of dollars. All other industries, civil industries, I emphasize that civil industries are declining. Another industry I want to tell you about is coal mining. This is currently the hardest hit industry in Russia. This is a disaster. Just one number: 150,000 jobs are being affected and cut, destroyed, eliminated. The industry has been hit already. It's been done. The reason is, well, quite a few reasons. And Russia's biggest customer for coal was China. And China, being such a friend and partner of Russia, is doing a lot of things that are hurting Russian economy, and I think it's doing it on purpose. I'm pretty darn sure. For example, it stopped buying Russian oil. It has stopped, it started making obstacles for Russian companies to import Chinese goods, and it stopped buying Russian coal. For reasons objective and subjective, and objective reasons are there too, because Chinese economy is on decline. They're using less coal now, and they start relying on Mongolian coal more and more. But this is the fact. The coal is not needed by anyone. And in Russia, there's plenty of natural gas, and they don't burn coal, especially in the western part of Russia, in the European part. As far as I understand, as far as I know, the only coal used extensively burnt extensively is in where it's extracted in Kuzbas, region, okay, and in the eastern Russia, and that's it. So the industry has been hit. It's been done. The damage has been done. Um, what is going on in the industry right now? Bankruptcies, both personal and corporate bankruptcies, non-payments. Companies that owe other companies do not pay; they go under, and they don't pay employees for months at a time. Massive layoffs of coal miners. 150,000 jobs are being cut. 150,000 jobs. Can you imagine? That's in a country of 140 million people. That's just one industry. Okay. And on top of that, massive layoffs of federal employees in the province of Kuzbas and provinces nearby. For one simple reason, there is not enough tax revenue coming in any longer. Basically, that province lived for money earned from extracting and exporting coal. And now it's no more. And they don't know what to do, though. So they started laying off kindergarten teachers. High school teachers are next. They have started laying off medical personnel, medical doctors, nurses, medical personnel, just regular personnel in Krasnoyarsk region. That's all due to they simply don't have money to pay. And in Moscow, the federal budget also doesn't have money for them because the money is gone. Okay. Huge problem in the coal mining industry. Another industry that is hard hit is oil extraction and refining. There's little data here because it's been classified. They consider, oil extraction and exporting is Russia's bread maker. It's always been Russian bread maker for at least for the last 50 years. And it's no more. Well, because it's simply the money is not there. And to keep people quiet and calm, they simply do not release data. They've classified it. The science that Russian oil companies pump significantly less oil now are there. First of all, there are informal talks between energy industry experts. There are inside from the oil companies. I don't want to go too much in details right now. I find it an extremely important topic, and I would like to make a separate live stream about that. For now, I will tell you that Russian oil extraction is shrinking. Russia is extracting less oil and it refines much less oil and has less of oil refined products, gasoline and diesel. How do we know that? Because the statistics of transporting Russia's oil refined products on the railroad, and that's minus 6.3% just in January alone. Another industry is metallurgy, metallurgical industry. That is also in trouble. And that's going to be the last industry I'll talk about, and I will give you an inside. Oh boy, this is very exclusive. You have not heard of anything like this before anywhere. This is like a huge secret, okay? They don't talk about it in Russia. Before I do that, I would like to take a pause, because talking for an hour is difficult, Take a sip of this wonderful English breakfast tea and tell you about what I am going to add to Patreon for patrons inside Russia. And, it's very emotional for me. All right, that's another personal story. You see, I started doing this channel. I started Inside Russia. Originally, I called it Letters to King, and then I renamed it into Inside Russia because I wanted to share the country that I loved so much, Russia, with you, with the viewers. I had, well, I still have unique view because I consider myself half Russian, half American. I spent 9 years in the United States, and I grew up as a professional in the USA. I was educated there, and I worked. I got my first work experience, and I learned life in the United States. So I know both countries, and that gives me a unique outlook. And this is why, basically, I do these live streams. I do these unique messages. A lot of information I tell you, you will not find anywhere else. So I started filming Russia the way I liked it, what I liked about it, the places, the people, and I was sharing with everyone on YouTube. The channel was very small, and I wasn't even monetized. For the first 2 years, I was making it for free as a hobby, okay? Some people like amateur photographers, they just like taking pictures, and I liked doing YouTube videos. And the war started and everything changed. And obviously I do this daily messages now about how Russia is transforming. From Russia that I knew, that I loved, into this ugly monster that Vladimir Putin is making out of it. Okay, I feel it is hugely important to document the process of transformation, and this is what I consider. This is my personal mission. I do it for myself, for my kids, for my fellow Russians who oppose the war, and for you. Anyway, I took a break. 2 last days I spent in the very heart of Uzbekistan in a desert, Kizilkum Desert, in a place called Hiva. I don't know if you have heard of it. It's one of the most amazing places I've ever seen in my life. It's basically an old town slash fortress that is in existence in the old way, the way it existed, 400-500 years ago. It exists in the very same way, and it's called a museum under open sky because the entire town and people, 3,000 people live in, their fortress. This fortress, there are walls, fortress with walls, and the people live inside the walls. Amazing. And these 2 years, I was walking around and I got the very same feeling. I really enjoyed filming, and I wanted to do live streams right from here. Unfortunately, internet didn't allow, but the feeling returned to me. I wanted to share what I was seeing, and I was so excited about with you, okay? And consider it a hobby of mine. I really like doing that. When I get excited, when I like something, I want to share it with others. So, and I've decided to film weekly, 1 or 2 videos about my life in Uzbekistan and generally about life of people in Uzbekistan, not just my life, daily life. I go to bazaar every other day, local bazaar, and it's a fantastic place. It's a very unique experience. If you live in the West, you have never experienced Eastern bazaar at its best, okay? Filming that, things like that. Filming Tashkent, filming other places we travel to. And I want to make it available to you on Patreon of Inside Russia account. I cannot do that. I wish I could, but I can't here on YouTube because YouTube channel doesn't work like that. It's a completely different topic, and people who will be who want to see my to watch my daily messages will be coming, and they wouldn't want to watch, let's say, Uzbekistan. An algorithm would be confused. So I don't want to mix this kind of topics together, and I will be making this extra material, extra videos about Uzbekistan to patrons of Inside Russia. Starting this week, I've made a movie about Hiva. Nothing fancy, but it's my personal adventure. Myself, my wife, and my child. And I'm going to make it available to patrons. If you want to check it out, sign up. Well, I also would like to remind you that Patreon is for Formula 54. 9 news every day that I find important. I identify them, I comment, I analyze, and I make them available to patrons of Inside Russia. So, if you want to stay on top of things of Russia, then you can sign up to become a patron. You will find news that most likely you will not find anywhere else. I find them very important. On top of that, you will be getting my adventures in Uzbekistan. Emphasis on Uzbekistan, not on me. Myself will be at minimum there, but I just want to show you how people in this wonderful country that's become a refuge for me live, and how they live here and what they do. And consider it a hobby of mine, something that I really like doing. So I'll be sharing this stuff with you again. The last story. Boy, I promised you to give you something very, very unique, something exclusive, and this is it. Again, this is a personal story, and that kind of rhymes with problems with the industry of metallurgy. Have you heard of a company called Norilsk Nickel? The nickel from Norilsk. It's one of world's largest, if not world's largest, nickel mining and processing company. It's the biggest producer of nickel in the world. It's located in far north of Russia. It was created in the USSR. Now it belongs to an oligarch, Putin's friend. And basically, it's the biggest and the major company that produces Russia's nickel. It's in trouble. Big trouble. Like all metallurgical companies, it is been hit hard by the sanctions and by the problems with payments from China. China is a huge customer of Norilsk Nickel, and China doesn't buy nickel anymore. And now this stuff comes from inside Norilsk Nickel, because I know some people who work there who are on the very inside of the company. I have not heard of it anywhere in the news, and I search every single day. I bet, and I'm willing to make a bet, you have not heard of this. But Norilsk Nickel is seriously considering moving to China. Not only it's considering, I've heard two news about that twice in the past. And in the propaganda, they were like small notes among other news, But they actually have taken steps to move production from Norilsk, from Russia's far north, to China. For the past 8 years, the management of Norilsk Nickel, and different managers, different executives, go to China and negotiate with the Chinese. It's not just the talk, it's walking the walk. Moreover, there is a huge opposition from Russian government to Norilsk Nickel about doing that, because they know once Norilsk Nickel builds new facilities and moves main production from Russia to China, it ceases being Russian company. It becomes a Chinese company, and that's what Norilsk Nickel wants to do. Instead of being Russia's largest nickel manufacturer, it will become Chinese largest nickel manufacturer, ore is still in Russia, and somehow they will be extracting ore and sending it to China. Anyway, they have been taking very serious steps. In January, they have ordered a very extensive market research. Um, it was delivered, and it's under a lot of criticism from Russian senators, from Russian metallurgical industry, for basically, this public organizations that are funded by the state. They are trying to block this decision from Norilsk Nickel to move to China. Now, this fact shows you that this company is absolutely desperate. It knows that if it stays in Russia, it will die. And come on, how can you die if you are a nickel manufacturer? Can you imagine this non-ferrous metal? That's a precious metal, okay? World's largest manufacturer. It's always was one of most profitable Russian companies. Holy moly! This is a huge, huge sign of demise of the industry. Now, there was a new package of sanctions against Russia, and it came from Europe. It was a weak package overall, but what was strong inside was the sanctions on Russian aluminum. European companies cannot buy, are banned from buying Russian aluminum. Plain and simple. And that's a huge problem for another Russian company called Russian Aluminum, Rusal. I don't know what they're gonna do now, but I will be watching closely. But that company is going under if it doesn't have something radical done. For example, moving to China as well. Okay, so I will be looking at that very closely. Um, enough about industries. Macroeconomic indicators show overall state of Russian economy. GDP growth or decline. Well, it's growth. Um, things like that. But they're big and they're general. Sometimes too general to understand what is happening on the ground in a country called Russia. And I think that the situation inside different industries is a very good indicator that kind of shows real life, no more, no less. These indicators, it's like they talk to us through small stories, through small signs. Put together, they paint us a big picture. And I just told you quite a few of these signs today. I believe that economic demise has started, and it is absolutely inevitable that Russian economy will demise. And the demise is intensifying right now. And we are seeing it in all Russia's industries. This has been my message for today. Please tune in on Thursday to learn more about Russian economy. I'll be talking macroeconomics, general indicators. I'll be talking about Russian ruble, monetary policy, Russia's central bank, financial situation with the banks, and so forth. I mean, I've been talking for an hour now, and that's just I covered industries. So this is how large of a topic that is. So, friends, thank you so much. We don't have much time, but I invite everyone to join me in a live stream chat. 10, perhaps 15 minutes if the mods allow. I will try to answer questions. Please, no US politics, not a place and time to discuss US politics right now. That's completely different topic. We want to keep this chat civil, so please respect others, be nice to each other, love each other, and I'm asking you that. And let me turn the live stream chat on. If you're here for the first time, and we have amazing 4,000 people right now. So if you're here for the first time, please know that Inside Russia is the best community on internet on YouTube, and thanks to the best moderation team: Lorna, Mami K, Bob S, Harry Potnin, Amir Fazad, and Dirk. Thank you, friends. Thank you so very much for coming. You are the best, and the usual suspects. You know who you are, who come every day, who I know by names, most of you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving me a chance to listen to my message again. Let me turn on the live stream chat in a large pop-up window that I usually do. Fantastic to see everyone, and this is the best, the most favorite part of any stream, when I talk to a camera and then all of a sudden I turn on the live stream chat and I see hundreds, thousands of people coming in and start chatting, and this is awesome. This is what it's all about, you know. If you want to see me to see your message or question easier, please put it in all caps. Put Inside Russia after @ sign, so it's highlighted in a large orange box. A lot of people, a lot of questions. Sometimes I miss your comments or questions. If I miss, please keep on posting again and again, so sooner or later I'll get to it. Thank you so much. Again, the mods, fantastic to have everyone here. Thank you, the usual suspects. I see quite a few names too today. Anne, Seahawk, Jodes, Nona, Stefan, Scott, Koshkin Dom, Thel, 3, Barracuda, Cherry, Diane Hernandez, Light Crits, long time no see, Ron, Andres, Leitmotif, Brian, Sam the Legend, long time no see, Ronnie, Pinda the Peanut, Tremelion, Paul, Dark Zodiac from Finland, Ho Ho, 777, Ree, Pamela, Mark, Eranka. Friends, thank you for coming. Terry Carter from Pulaski, Virginia. Sunny and warm here, about 60. It was unseasonably cold in Hiva, and Michael got sick a little bit. Nothing major, but it was like a blast from the north, you know, that type of thing. And we left, and it's just warmed up right after. And now it's spring in Tashkent and all over Uzbekistan. Very nice. Not quite 60s, but high 50s. Jen Morin, howdy. Jill Labreche. Where else can purchasers obtain raw materials for aluminum manufacturing besides Russia? There is a big competition for Russian aluminum right now. I believe it's Indonesia. Russian aluminum, this company, Rusal, Русский Алюминий, it had a mine of bauxites. That's raw material for aluminum in, I believe, on Borneo Island in Southeast Asia, and also in the Philippines. They have lots of ore, bauxites. And they built large aluminum processing plants there. And then they're modern, and they have very, it's not Russia's far north, you know, it's, they can ship aluminum by sea anywhere to the United States, not too far, you know. So Russian aluminum has competition, more and more competition now. Mary Doran, it has been a while. Good to see you, Mary. I'll watch playback. Great to see you. Thank you for coming. Fantastic to see you. That's another feeling that I have. Very pleasant feeling when someone I remember from a long time ago. And I have good memory for people and for names. Um, for example, a couple years ago, comes back and says hello. And this is a very, very pleasant feeling. So thank you so much. And Mary, good to see you. It hasn't been 2 years. I remember probably a few months. It's really hard to keep all the names and juggle them in my head because there are like thousands of people here in the live streams. Steven, are you right? You are right, sir. It's really is bad. When does everyone hit the streets of Moscow for Putin to get out? I don't see it I don't see it's happening. Russians are professional sufferers. The worse it gets, the more they will be complaining, and they will be taking pride at going through hardships, but they will not, unfortunately, get out on the streets and protest against Putin. Michael Jerome, thank you so much for coming. Um, Harry, I have information. I'll send you a email. Agustinas from Indonesia. You know what? Howdy, fantastic to have you here. I like Southeast Asia a lot. What a great part of the world you live in. And I could be wrong about aluminum. It's either in the Philippines or Indonesia. So it's one of those places. It's somewhere, in that part of the world. That's where the new aluminum plants are. Marie, oh, you remember me. I'm so happy. Just a few months. Yes, I remember a few months ago. Well, send in my love to Ireland. And I mean, how can I not remember you, Mary? I always call you Marie Doran. I'm not sure if it's right. Perhaps it's Mary, but it's Marie. Um, hey G, are suppliers and workers getting paid? Well, depends. Some do get paid, some don't. A lot of miners, coal miners, are not getting paid, and there's not a chance that they will get paid. A lot of subcontractors also are not getting paid. That adds to the wave of corporate bankruptcies and personal bankruptcies. So it's pretty dire out there, you know? A former Russian PM has just stated that the Russian economy will tank in 6 months. What's interesting, it will tank in 6 months, but I have not heard of which prime minister. There was Dmitry Medvedev. Then before there was, I forgot. But who? Name, brother, give me a name. Jodes Rames, excited to hear we will be seeing new Bazaar videos. Jodes, listen, and everyone, please listen to this. I was walking through the streets of Hiva, and I'm so submerged into this rat race. Okay, that's all I do these days. I wake up, I go to breakfast, I have a couple hours, I chit chat with the Tashkent Breakfast Club members, or my friends. Then I come back home, and that's it. And I'm sitting in front of the computer. I talk to Manus about Brain Drain Unlimited. I talk to my wife about news, to call Russia to get the insights, and just it's like that's day after day after day. I like it. I like this is my mission. Okay, I have a fire burning inside me to do that. Otherwise, I would have stopped a long time ago. Because trust me, 1,200 live streams is very difficult. Okay, sometimes I feel burned out completely. I feel no emotions left. I feel I'm a robot. Sometimes I just can't feel any longer, and sometimes the feelings get back after that. So, but that's different for what I used to do before. And I was walking the streets of Hiva, and this is this thought I had popping up in my head over and over again. Like, it would be great to show others this because this is fantastic. And this feeling of sharing, walking around streets of Moscow, Rostov, Krasnodar, other places, it kind of came back, and I liked that feeling. I was like, wow, I miss it. I miss it a lot. So I figured I walk a lot in the streets of Tashkent. I just do all kinds of stuff. I go to bazaars. I go, there's plenty of to see in Tashkent. So I figured, hey, I'll just take a camera and I'll film like walkthroughs or things like that with my commentaries. And why not? It's gonna take me half an hour perhaps, extra hour a week, and then another couple hours to upload it, edit. I'm not gonna do a lot of editing, okay, because I simply don't have time for that. But that comes from my heart. It's not for the money. It's not for the support or whatever. It's something pleasant I want to do for you. So here you go. There you have it. Roman Zdenek, hi from Hamburg. Guten Abend. What do you think about the Russian Legion fighting on the Ukrainian side? What do I think about it? This Russian Legion fighting on the Ukrainian side. I'm not sure what you mean. Is that movement known among Russians? The information about that is suppressed. Does it scare Moscow establishment? No, it does not. I think that Moscow establishment is it's to a general question. Who is Moscow establishment? Putin's friends? They don't care about anything about except for money and power. Okay, what scares them is that another group of Putin friends, another clan would act and somehow push them away from power. That really scares. Nothing else scares them. Okay, these people fighting in um, Ukraine, Russians against Russia, they could care less. Um, Again, this movement is not known. The information about it is strictly outlawed. If anyone talks about it in Russia, he's considered terrorist, extremist, and so forth. Leitmotiv, do you have a guess for how long it will take for total collapse of the economy? No, I'm not going to be taking guesses because of this situation is changing fast. If the United States would tighten the sanctions against Russia, as it was for the past year or so, then the economy would collapse within a year, 2024, perhaps even 6 months, because things are landsliding right now. But then, if the United States walks in and helps out Russia and lifts sanctions, right now it's de facto helping Russia out by not, taking its attention off the shadow fleet. That's huge, and I'm going to be talking about it further too in the live streams. So, if Russia does not have a threat of being, prosecuted for running the shadow fleet, then others will be buying Russian oil, and that's going to be helping the economy a lot. And if the help is big, then who knows? It might last for a couple years, and so it's become too political now, and it's not on the Russian side; it's on the side of the international community. The move is from the international community. It is expected them to make the move. Just a couple more questions, and that's it. Oh, Ani, I kind of like this question. How and which Ukrainians do you support financially from donations you receive? Thank you. I take all donations. First of all, donations is the only thing that I have right now. I used to receive money from YouTube, and that the biggest part of money that I was making was coming from AdSense. Okay, now it's only donations. At first, it scared me. Now it's I like this idea because living on donations is. I had never done that before. I've never been in a situation when I relied on other people to live. Okay, then I gave it a thought, and I like the fact that people like what I say, what I do, so much they actually send hard-earned money to help me out. That shows that my information is valued a great deal, because if it was of no value to you, that you would not help, obviously, definitely not with money. So it is the um, highest reward that I can get, because money is money. We all work hard for the money. I mean, I don't think that there are billionaires watching my live streams to whom money is no object. Okay, it's some people send me messages saying, "Constantine, $3 a month is all I can do for Patreon," and I'm so grateful for that. To me, it's the sign of a person getting so much value that shares some of money with me. So that's the money I get, and I take everything that I receive and I divide it into two parts. And I made a live stream about that. I think it's called Inside Russia Manifesto. It was a very odd time. I had two live streams. I was actually asking God, like, what's going on? Why am I doing this? And if my work is needed. And He gave me an answer. Well, anyway, there's a live stream about that. It's called Inside Russia Manifesto. And I have decided then, a couple of years ago, that I'm going to take all the money and divide it in two parts. One part I'm going to keep for myself, and I appreciate every penny that I receive, and that's what pays my bills, my family, supports my family, feeds my children. And the second part I'm going to be spending on others, helping others. That help comes in different ways. I feed people, Russians and Ukrainians here in Tashkent. I try to send Russians and Ukrainians to the United States of America through the foundation that I co-founded with Manos. I donate there. I help people directly who need help here, both Russians and Ukrainians. And I do other things that I'd rather not to talk about it. They're too personal. But answering your question, just one thing. If I am to die right now, okay, oh, God forbid, but hey, things happen. And I would be standing in front of God, as I am in front of the camera, right in front of you, Ani. And the God would ask me, Konstantin, what about the money that you received from YouTube? Have you helped others? And I would tell him, and he would know it's the truth. And you know what? I would be proud of every single step that I've taken and every single penny that I spend. Um, I would absolutely be proud. And I think the God would be proud of me too. I hope I answered your question. Friends, I invite you to finish this live stream in a prayer. Thank you so very much. It's been very, very voluminous live stream. Very long message, but message is too large. Okay, and I will continue on Thursday, so please tune in on Thursday. Tomorrow there will be a news update, and check out my Patreon to find the movie from Hiva, Uzbekistan, from Kharizm province. So Please join me in prayer now. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for food you placed on our tables and roofs you put over our heads. Thank you so much for the loved ones, our families, for our children. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads safe and peaceful. Please give us wisdom to raise our children in a way that when they grow up, they will make this world a better place, will not participate in any wars, just love each other and be friends to each other. For now, please keep our children healthy and safe. Dear Lord, I am asking for Ukraine. I am asking for your help to stop the bloodshed. Please reach out and touch the hearts of those who are responsible and capable for this decision and make that decision to stop the bloodshed. Use any ways necessary and possible, and we have faith that you will use everything you need. Touch their hearts, open their hearts, remind them they're still human beings. Remind them that there's bloodshed and real people die and hurt. So they wake up and open their eyes and stop this criminal war, the tragedy. Please help every single Ukrainian who has been affected by this terrible war. Answer their prayers and make their wishes come true. Please help my country, Russia. Assemble your strongest angels with sharpest swords and have Saint Michael lead them to this earth as your heavenly army to get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country and who we know by their names and by their faces. Please send your good angels to help Russian people to run their country in a way that it'll become loving, peaceful, and nice again. Respecting. Dear Lord, please send everyone who is traveling safe travels. Everyone who is in danger in high waters, please send safety. Please help those who are seeking for asylum of any kind. Please help single mothers and fathers who are raising their children and struggling to make ends meet. Please help those who are helping Ukrainians and help Ukrainians who are under attacks or possibility of attacks from Russian missiles and weapons. Send them safety. Dear Lord, please help everyone who is hungry, cold, sick, addicted, homeless, jobless, depressed, losing faith, not feeling good about herself, feeling betrayed, crying, hurting, going through divorce. Feeling abandoned, left, and betrayed. Please reach out and touch the heart of every person to remind them, to show them that you are with them. You haven't left. You still love them, and you will love them always. Fill their hearts with warmth and love, so they feel you right next to them. They feel them right next to you. Please help everyone in need. Thank you very much for allowing us to come together and pray. Thank you for all these people who are watching us pray and praying along with us. Thank you so much. Answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's wish come true. Thank you, dear Lord. I am asking you for some people who need your help. They are Ron Bozoid, Sandra, Teresa, Jeff, Karsten, Janice, Ann, Hannah, Jeffrey and his family, Alex, Mark, Tom, J.R. McKim, Gabing with Gary, Lisa, Harry, Terry, John, Linda, Paula, Dennis, Jason, Susie, Tim, Dory, Rhonda, John, Taylor, Wayne, Darla, George Ruberty, Pamela, Meta, David Porter, his family, and everyone in Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Life, Randolph, Grace, Dean Spooner and his church, Yelena, Natasha, Michael, Jake, Oля, Dasha, and Sky, Svetlana, Sergey, Liz, Ron, Koshkin Dom, Petra, Mike and Mike, Jodes, Millie, Joseph, Philip, Eileen, Highwayman, Denise, Renata, Janice, um, Derek, and Jeff Gibson. I am also praying for Ukrainian cities of Kiev, Chernovtsi, Odessa, and other towns and cities that are currently under attacks. I'm praying for the United States of America so peace and prosperity continues to be a part of the USA, and the USA will continue being the beam of light for everyone in the world. I pray for European countries so they stay strong and united, and they stay on the side of the light, the righteousness. And I am asking for all good people in the world. Thank you so much, Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you. Amen. Friends, thank you very much for coming. I missed you. Missed 2 days, Sunday and Monday. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing your time with me. It's fantastic to have everyone. Thank you for praying. We had over 3,200 people prayed together. I think that's a miracle. Please come back tomorrow for a news update, and Thursday another update about the economy. Like I said, I talk about other things. Friday will be Friday Crazy News Update, and sometimes around these days I will upload a movie about our adventures in Hiva and about Hiva itself to Patreon, so please check it out. I would like to remind you that you are absolutely awesome and you rock. I love you. Please keep on coming back. It's always a pleasure and honor to see you. Thank you. And before I sign off, as usual, I am asking to say along with me, out loud as you can, the following. Carthago delenda est.